Hey, it's Kim Komando today, your daily podcast to keep you up to date with all things digital and beyond. And I'd love to have you be a part of our podcast. You can make an appointment to speak with me. Just head over to Komando.com, and on the top right, there's a button that says Email Kim. Fill that out, and that's it. I always like to start the show with something interesting, and it never ceases to amaze me what people will buy on eBay. Do you remember the grilled cheese sandwich that looked like the Virgin Mary? Yeah, that sold for $28,000. What? A ghost in a jar? Sold for $55,000. A piece of gum that Britney Spears chewed, $14,000. Well, now you can add water. Yes, jars of water are being sold on eBay. Not just regular water. I'm talking about water that came from Splash Mountain, the ride at Walt Disney World that is closed for good as of January 23rd. So one seller is listing a small 4-ounce jar of water for $20. A baggie of water has a starting bid of $25. And I also heard that they're also auctioning off the 2 structures that held all the water for the ride. And I was like, well, damn. Get it? Water? Well, oh, I know. Hey, it's the Kim Komando Show. It's the largest show about all things digital, your most trusted source. You can find us on over 420 top stations across the United States. And we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And you can find us as a podcast, as a webcast 24/7 over at getkim.com. Costs just a few bucks a month. And after that, you get a free 30-day trial. And after that, it costs just a few bucks a month. And don't forget, we always offer a lot of discounts for seniors and service personnel. And really, that's over at getkim.com. And you're also heard on the American Forces Network Radio. And a special thank you goes out to our servicemen and women in the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force who are protecting our great nation. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And just a quick reminder, you can always drop me your question on our website. That's Komando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. All right. Every single day, I visit at least 30 different websites to make sure that I'm up to date on all things digital, and then I can pass along the important stuff to you to save you time and keep you just in the know all the time. And this is part of the show where I like to talk about things that are happening on the web and consumer tech, maybe what you're buying and what you're using. And let's start with this question. What's the most popular game in the entire world right now? Anybody? It's chess. That's right. Chess.com said it had 7 million active members in a single day. That is tremendous traffic in December. It's the most traffic they've ever had. By mid-January, it had 10 million active members a day. So what's going on? How come everybody's hanging out at chess.com? Well, it all comes down to Mittens. That's right. There's this adorable, evil AI cat that's playing chess, and you can play chess with Mittens too. And it's all AI. And Mittens is not a nice player, taunts you throughout the game and says things like, I am inevitable. I am forever. Gaze into that long abyss, sucker. Okay. I'm not sure how a cat has come up with any of these sayings, so don't ask meow, meow, meow. Come on, that was okay. That was all right. I know, that was bad. All right, number 2 on our list, it's not scrap metal, it's scrap MacBooks. What's going on? 2-year-old MacBooks are going up to $3,000, are sold for scrap as in parts. The reason, there's no way to log in and there's no way to factory reset them. What's going on? It's the Apple T2 security chip. Anyone but the original owner seems like they cannot get into the computer. So really bad if you want to resell. But these computer resellers are buying them up just for parts. That doesn't mean that they're going to wipe the data on the parts. So if you have one of these computers, make sure that you wipe it before you actually get rid of it. So what's going on with these Apple MacBooks? Of course, Apple wants you to buy a new MacBook, but you know the old joke. An Apple fan walks into a bar, orders the same drink as yesterday, but pays twice the price. All right, number 3 on our list. Has anyone seen the key to my phone? Has anybody? All right, so cars. We have real keys to unlock our cars. But with the latest iOS update for your iPhone, now you can lock your iPhone and your accounts using a physical security key. A physical security key is a device that looks like a thumb drive, and you have to plug it into something to unlock it. It's basically a car key, but to your device. Now, up until now, all you could do on your iPhone is use, facial ID and that passcode, right? Not too hard to bypass. I mean, all they have to do is somebody's sleeping and then you can just point it at their face and then suddenly you're on their phone. Now, when you're using security keys, you have to use this key in order to sign in with an Apple ID, and you're going to use this on the web or with another device. We have some information about this on the website, so exactly the ones that you should be buying and how it will work. Now, there is one major downside. If you lose your security key, you could be locked out of your device forever, so don't do that. All right, number 4 on our list of 5 things that you need to know is that if you use Facebook Messenger to mess around, you better be listening up, because before this week, Facebook Messenger wasn't end-to-end encrypted. That just means that the company had access to all your messages. No big deal. Thank you, Zuck. Yes, you know him. He's the CEO of Meta, otherwise known as Facebook. So Messenger has changed, and now there's an option. They're calling it Secret Conversations. This means that anything that you say to anyone else, no one else can see, and not even Facebook. Now, using it is super easy. You just open the conversation that you want to make secure. You tap on the person's name on the top of the screen and then select Secret Conversation. Now, you know it's working when you see a lock icon next to that person's name. You can also set a timer for when the messages are going to disappear. You can verify the encryption by scanning a QR code. But remember, no message truly disappears, right? Nothing, right? There's always a copy of it somewhere. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. And finally, this coming in at number 5, has the Xbox gone woke, right? Have you ever updated a game, any game, on your Nintendo, your Xbox, or even your phone? But let's focus on an Xbox update. Now, you know that some updates may be as small as just a few megabytes, while other updates can be several gigabytes. Well, a small update on a fast internet connection may only take a few minutes to download. But this larger updates, wow, sometimes they can take multiple hours. So some people in Washington are saying that the woke brigade wants to take on your Xbox. Okay, let me tell you what's going on. I'm not getting politics here. I'm just telling you what's going on. Microsoft has outlined 2 new changes to Xbox settings on January 11th. One allows the Xbox to pick the time of night for maintenance and updates to use the most renewable energy from the electrical grid, they say, and a shutdown setting that can replace the sleep mode, which they say saves 20 times the energy. Plus, who wants updates downloading and installing when you're trying to play a game or during the day? It's very annoying. Now, if you don't like these settings, you could just change them. But Microsoft is not going woke. It's not what's happening. I mean, maybe these folks just need someone to console them. Yes. All right, coming up in this hour, we're going to tell you how you can get snow and weather alerts and notifications the easy and fun way. And then we've got a great money tip on how you can be getting like $360 a year in free stuff from your cell provider. Of course, we have our trivia that you don't want to miss. And then later on, some cool ways that you can be using your router that I bet you're not using now. And of course, your phone calls on the Kim Komando Today podcast. Hey, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is a way to join us. And let's get this party started with Skeeter in Bellingham, Washington. Hi there, Skeeter.
Well, first of all, I really enjoy listening to your show. So when this problem came up for me that I haven't experienced before, you were the first person I thought about. I have a 13-year-old granddaughter that lives with me. I'm 62, so I'm not real tech savvy. When she had an Android phone, it was pretty easy to use the family thing through my Google account. But now that she has an Apple phone that she was given to her by a relative of Christmas, I'm having a difficult time trying to find a monitoring app that will let my Android phone monitor her Apple phone, or some way for me to be able to monitor and limit screen time, the apps that she looks at, be able to find her location, just the same kind of things I could do on Family Link, I think is what it was called before.
There are a couple out there, and just keep in mind that an iPhone has pretty good parental restrictions.
And do you just do those on her phone?
Yes, you'll do them on her phone, but it doesn't mean that she can't undo them on her phone, right? So we want to make sure that you got something else. There's a program that's been out there for a while. It's called Custodio. It's Custodio, Custodio. It allows you to monitor an iPhone from an Android device. And like you mentioned, it has location tracking. You can see which apps she's using at what time. You can filter what she can search for on the web and things like that. Um, if you really wanted to get like every single keystroke that the girl does, that's where you're going to look at a program called MSpy. MSpy. You're going to see calls, text messages, photos, videos, social media. I mean, if you want every single thing that she does on the phone, that's when you look at MSpy. But if you're just looking to monitor, see what's going on, that's where Custodio comes into play. I mean, you can see a lot with Custodio, but it's not the same thing as MSpy. Now, over at Komando.com, if you go to Komando.com/contract, there's a kids tech contract. It's absolutely free. It's 3 pages, a PDF. And I wrote that so that this way people in your position could sit down with a teenager and go through different things about the phone. Anything from we're not going to use the phone when we're eating dinner to, and it's an uncomfortable conversation for a grandfather to have with a granddaughter. I get it, but it's a necessary conversation, is we're not going to send naked pictures of ourselves to anybody, right?
Right. Right.
And if we get a naked picture from somebody or somebody asks us for that, what are we going to do about it? And so it goes through the different things that you want her to be aware of. And then she has to sign the contract, because just having an iPhone she just doesn't have an iPhone because she turned 13. She got an iPhone because you thought she was responsible.
Right.
So we want to make sure that that responsibility is there. And I know it's kind of like that poo-poo conversation that nobody wants to have with their kids, but it's one of those necessary things in life right now. So again, you can find the contract for free over at Komando.com/contract. And let me tell you something. If you are in charge of a school, a church, a synagogue, a civic group, YMCA, whatever it may be, that contract is free to use and it's free to distribute. And so I would like to have every kid under the age of 16 in the United States sign that contract. So help me out. Again, you can get it for free at Komando.com/contract. And let's see who's up next. Jerry in Modesto, California. Hi there, Jerry.
Well, my wife and I were looking for a laptop. Time to upgrade hers. And friends of mine were telling me, you want to stay away from kind of the lower end stores, the Walmart, the Target, stuff like that, only because specific computers were designed for those stores, and you're not going to get the higher end. You might get the lower processing speed, less RAM, and stuff like that. And so I said, all right, I'll look into Best Buy and other stores like Costco, like that. But is there any truth to that statement that computer manufacturers and printers and stuff like that, when they make something special for these stores, they're at the lower end of the scale, you might say?
There may be some truth to that. It's not uncommon for computer manufacturers to make different versions of their products called store-specific SKUs that are only going to be sold into Walmart, only into Target, because the retailers themselves are looking for ways to distinguish themselves between each other and also the almighty Amazon. And so it may not be inferior, it just may be different. And so it may be instead of you having, say 8 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of RAM, whatever it may be, that maybe you have more, you have less. It may be the speed of the RAM may be different. But I will tell you one thing that I do know is that when you buy anything, because you mentioned Costco, when you buy anything at Costco demands that those manufacturers give them something better. You just notice the word better than what that consumer can get anywhere else. So Costco does demand that of anybody who sells into their stores. Now, that said, maybe you don't need the attachments, right? Maybe you don't need that extra, whatever they're throwing in. And in addition to that, some of these store-specific SKUs, that they may be loaded with what we call bloatware. And bloatware are the programs, you know what I'm talking about then, because you said exactly, right? It's going to be loaded with that junk. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh. And it's interesting because technology is changing. Like, for example, let's talk about TVs, Vizio TVs, cheap TVs, right? Okay.
Yep.
If you want a cheap TV, you're going to buy a Vizio. Well, the reason why they're so cheap is that they do a lot of data tracking. The company
Oh.
actually makes more money tracking everybody who's watching their TVs and what they watch and the demographics and all that other stuff than they actually make selling TVs.
Oh.
So when these laptops are loaded with bloatware, they're
Hmm.
making money on maybe the tracking, maybe if you need to buy this AV program, the security program, whatever they're trying to pitch to you, they may be making the manufacturer's making a piece of the action. So, it's pretty particular, but I will tell you if you are looking for a laptop over at Komando.com, we have something called the Laptop Finder Quiz,
Okay.
and you just type in your requirements and you answer a few questions, and then we recommend a laptop for you. And because we've
Oh.
already done the research. So if you hang on the line, we're going to give you the exact address for the laptop finder quiz. And for everybody else, just go to Komando.com and in the search box, type in laptop finder quiz or laptop quiz, and then just take it. You answer like 3 or 4 questions, and our IT geniuses, they keep that updated continuously. And it will recommend your specific laptop based on how you're going to use it, what you're looking for, and how much, of course, money you've got budgeted for it. Jerry, thank you for your call. Okay, always remember the most popular chip used in laptops is the Intel Core series of processors. All right, moments away from our trivia that you'd never ever want to miss. And this week it's a little bit tough. And also our money tip about how you can be getting $360 a year in free stuff from your cell provider. And of course, we have more of your phone calls on the Kim Komando Today podcast. All right, it's time now to play the game that I like to call Commanding the Tech World Trivia. Notice that? Just a little play on Komando. And this week it's brought to you by Total AV. We've all seen how the world has changed because of tech. But do you really know the backstories, the insider secrets that make this digitally connected world just go round and round? Like this. Windows XP, and I know there are some listeners right now saying, Kim, I love Windows XP. I'm never giving it up. Okay, released in what year? 2001, and then support was supposed to end in 2009, and then finally they just pulled the plug in 2014. But here's the trivia question. How many different major versions of Windows has Microsoft released? How many different versions? Drum roll, please. It's 10. That's right. Windows 1, 3.1, 95, XP, Vista, 7, 8, 8.1, 10, and 11. So when playing Commanding the Tech World Trivia, you need to really think outside of the box. And joining us this week as our very special guest contestant is Don in Augusta, Maine. Hello there, Don. Glad to have you with us.
Hello, Kim. Well, thank you. It's great to be here. I love your show. Long-time listener.
Well, appreciate that, Don. Now, let me tell you, there's a big prize if you can guess the trivia. It's the official Kim Komando Show fanny pack. Oof. Are you ready to play?
Hey, ready. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so this one's about Apple Computer. And it was founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. And they were actually friends who met when they were working at Atari. You remember Atari. It was that popular video game company, right?
Right.
Now, Wozniak was the engineer and the computer hobbyist, and he designed what he called the Apple I. And then Jobs saw potential in this design. He said, hey, you know what? We ought to start a company so we can sell these computers. So I'm going to give you 4 statements. And now, which of the following statements is true about Apple? Okay, Don, you got to pay close attention.
Okay.
A, they named the company Apple because it was Steve Jobs' favorite fruit. He just ate apples all the time. B, when they were working on the first Apple computer, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they got into a fist fight over whose name should be first on the patent. Or C, Steve Jobs always wore turtlenecks because he had this nasty scar on his neck and he didn't want anybody to see it. Or is it D, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak had a third partner who quit because he just said Apple Computer would never amount to anything. So, which of these following statements are true? A, it was named Apple because it was Steve Jobs' favorite fruit. B, Jobs and Wozniak got into a fist fight. C, Steve Jobs wore turtlenecks, he had this nasty scar on his neck. Or D, there was a third partner who didn't believe in the company.
Geez. How about the favorite fruit?
You're going to go with A, or the favorite fruit. Apple was named because it was Steve Jobs' favorite fruit. Let's go to the judges. Let's see what they say.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Oh, that did not sound good at all. This is a really interesting story. The third partner, there was a third partner. His name was Ronald Wayne. Now listen, get a load of this, Don.
Wow.
He sold his 10% stake in Apple for $800 in 1976, only 12 days after putting the partnership together. They were partners less than 2 weeks. And he's like, I'm out of here. I don't think this is going to amount to anything. It's a total waste of time, effort, and energy. Now, here's the kicker, Don. If he would have saved his 10% and went with the company, okay, if he kept that, he would be worth around $200 billion today.
Wow.
Could you imagine? Don't you think he's kicking himself at all? I mean, really, seriously. I mean, now, when asked if he had any regrets, he said, this was his quote, Don, he said, not really. It allows me to live a normal life. Okay.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead. Go try to find $200 billion in the couch. It's just not going to happen. Okay?
No, not in my couch.
Not at all. So, hey, listen, I know you have a question for me. How can I lend a hand?
Okay, so I'm a retired teacher, and one of my hobbies, and I did it for a job for a little bit on the side, was videography and editing. So I was putting all of I set up a YouTube channel originally in 2010, and I don't have access to it anymore, and I don't know exactly what happened. I can watch it, but I can't log on to it. And so I kind of gave up on it, and I thought maybe it has something to do when Google bought out YouTube years ago. And I'm not sure that's it, but now I've got another account, which I linked to the old account, so I can keep looking at the videos. But I really would like to be able – I got over 40 videos on there from highlights from weddings and shows and different things that I've done, and I'd like to be able to –
Sure, and you want to get your videos back. You want to get them, have control of those videos, right?
Exactly.
Instead of just being a viewer, you want to get in there and say, hey, these bad boys are mine. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I wish I had a magical wand, Don, that I could just say, poof, Don gets all of your videos back. This is fabulous. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But I can tell you 3 things that you can try.
Great,
okay?
great.
Number one is that you go to the YouTube sign-in page, and then there's always this forget your password. And that's where they're going to reset the password to your email address or your phone number that is associated with that account. Okay. Now, if that doesn't work, then the YouTube account might be tied to your Google account. And then you can try to recover it through Google they have something called the Google account recovery page. And 3, and I know this is really a horrible, horrible thought, but you can try to contact YouTube support. I know they're going to ask you to provide information to confirm your identity, help you regain access to your account. But, they keep these accounts locked down for a reason, so that this way if you had a YouTube account and somebody was able to have access to it and just upload who knows what kind of videos that might be out there, that might be really detrimental for you and your brand. And so that's why they make you go through a whole bunch of hoops to get their accounts back. So you got 3 ways. Number 1, hit that forget password feature. 2, try to recover it through your Google account, and that's in the Google account recovery page. Or 3, contact YouTube support for any help. Now, if you strike out in all 3 places, Don, okay, we are not going to give up. So if you try all 3 and it doesn't work, just shoot us an email back, and we'll see if there is something that we can do to maybe get that account back for you. And I'm sorry you didn't win the official Kim Komando Show fanny pack, but you're always a winner in our book because you got through, and we had a great conversation. Okay, here's a little fun fact for you. What is the most watched video on YouTube ever? The most watched YouTube video ever I'm talking about. Well, it's Baby Shark Dance, and it has over 9.5 billion views. Wow, isn't that crazy? All right, you may not know this, but most of the major phone carriers are throwing in free limited time or permanent subscriptions to streaming services and some other goodies. But you have to know that they're there in order to get the freebies. So let's go through a few. Verizon. Under the 5G Start and 5G Do More plan, you actually get 6 months of the following: Disney Plus, Discovery Plus, Apple Arcade, or Google Play Pass. And you also get about $100 worth of free streaming services. Really good stuff. The next year, you get Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus. And this is about $140 worth of free streaming services, along with $150 of music and TV the first 6 months. Now, T-Mobile, they have the Essential plan. You get Paramount Plus for 1 year, which is normally $50. The Magenta plan, you're actually going to get Netflix too. Magenta Max, with Magenta Max, you're going to get $50 on Paramount Plus, but $270 between Netflix and Apple TV Plus. And then, of course, there's Sprint and AT&T. And if you're wondering what freebies may be available for your particular carrier, we have it all outlined for you. Just head over to Komando.com, and there at the top of the page, there's a link that says Kim Show. That's where you have it all spelled out for you. But if you're not getting those freebies from your carrier, come on, you're missing out. And you don't need to be paying for Netflix. You could be getting it free. And we all love free stuff. So make sure that you check out this money tip. And if you can save some money, make sure that you spread the wealth. Share this tip with your family members and friends too. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls and your router. Yes, you may not have thought about this, but it can do more than just deliver the Wi-Fi out to your house. And we got more of your phone calls, and we have more of me, Kim Komando, coming right up. Hey, if you haven't dipped your toe into the podcast world, what are you waiting for? Make sure that you get our daily tech update, because every single day I do one big news story and I give you one great digital life hack and trick that you're going to use time and time again. So wherever you get your podcast, just search for Komando with a K, of course. All right, back to the phones we go with John. Hello there, John.
Hey, Kim, how are you doing?
I'm great. Super duper. Glad you called. What's going on?
Just long-time listener, and really appreciate your show. You have a lot of great, easy insight. A lot of times you can dumb down for us over here and makes it easy. I got a lot of things. Well, my wife had been taking care of a lot of the IT type stuff. And again, you may have heard or read that my daughter had been at St. Jude, and they've been for 7 months now. And they're just getting back. So I want to try to take some of the burden off of her trying to keep our IT straight. So one of the things was passwords, of course, and either a password manager or something, because we're always asking her for the password when we need something. Or if our phones, we get new phones, you got to go back into all the apps to re-sign in. And so I've been trying to figure out how to keep up with that without using like a spreadsheet, because once you do that, you put it on the computer, people can hack it and such. So that's one type of thing to keep up with. The second thing was the security part about shopping and banking. That I'd heard a few weeks back or whatever, you were talking about using a guest network, which prevents, I guess, you from going to the major. And should you just sign the Ring doorbell, the Sonos speakers, the Hue light bulbs, or whatever other smart devices we have? Right. What's your thought?
Yeah, let's start at the beginning, okay? Number one, I'm sure you're thrilled that your wife and your daughter is coming back after being away from home for so long, and I hope that
oh my God,
she has continued good health, right? And our prayers are with you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Your wife must be just an amazing woman. I'm sure she is.
She is
for taking all that on. All right, and you're a great guy because you're gonna take your reins right now, and so you're right. You do need a good password manager. And what's nice is that it's all encrypted. You can share passwords, and you don't have to worry about remembering all the passwords because it's just going to fill it in for you automatically. You just have to remember one master password, which I know you can do this. And if you go to roboform.com/Kim, they're a sponsor of the show, and that's the program that we use and recommend. And again, that's roboform.com/Kim. You're going to save 50%.
Got it.
All right. Now, the whole idea behind a guest network is that you're going to put all your Internet of Things devices onto the guest network and then keep all your banking and your important stuff on the main network, because the Internet of Things is not exactly the most secure. As a matter of fact, it's hardly any security right now. And so if the whole idea is that if somebody can hack into it and break into it, they're going to get into the guest network, and they're not going to get into your really important stuff that's on the main network. And so that's the gist of why you might want to set up a guest network. Now, you talked about the Ring doorbell, and what did you say, the Hue lights?
Yeah, Hue lights, right? Sonos speakers.
Yeah, and Sonos speakers. The big thing here is always change the default username and password, and you want to make sure that you always get the software and any type of firmware updates that may be involved, and set up some two-factor authentication. I mean, this is a really big undertaking if you want to go from A to Z. Okay, so we're just going to take it. We're going to take it like in small chunks, okay? Because we don't want you to be overwhelmed. It's kind of like sometimes when you go to the restaurant and they've got like way too many things on the menu, and you're like, I don't even know what I want anymore. Okay, I came in for a bowl of French onion soup. Okay, so
I want to drink a bottle of wine. I'm good.
That's it. That's fine. We just need one bottle. As long as it's wet, we're good. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with just getting your passwords under control, okay? Because it's a secure way to manage all your passwords. And I said they have apps for all the major platforms. And, at some point we're going to talk about biometrics, but we're not there yet. And so set up with roboform.com/Kim. Again, you're going to get 50% off. And then take it to the next step. Make sure all your Internet of Things stuff that you're not using the default passwords, and make sure you get those firmware updates, because it's not like the companies are going to call you up and say, "Hey, John, thanks for being a loyal customer because we got a lot of firmware updates you need to know about." No. And if you need any help on any of this, just keep in mind you can always just search the website at Komando.com or give me a call back, because I'm always here to help. And John, thank you for your call. This is a great point. I mean, John, who just called, he was feeling so overwhelmed. He didn't know where to begin. And so he called me, and then we sorted things out in just a few minutes. So anytime you're feeling overwhelmed about something digital, I want you to make sure that you always remember that you can call me. You can drop me your email. And the easiest way to do that, it's a little old school. Don't put it on social media. I want it on the website, because that gives me a great way to just really focus on them all, is head over to Komando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. Hey, I just want to remind you that if you have not already entered to win the $500 gift card over at Komando.com, it's only open for just a few more days for entries. So head over to Komando.com/win. Once again, that's Komando.com/win. All right. Have you ever looked at the back of your router and thought, I wonder what these USB ports are good for? Well, here are 3 ways that you can use it, and your family's going to be like, oh my gosh, you are so smart. Okay, number 1. What you can do is start saving files on a special drive inside your house instead of putting everything inside the cloud, and then people can share it within the family member just within the house. So you get an external hard drive and NAS, and you just connect it up to it. Number 2 is that you can take this shareable drive to the next level. You can put a USB drive in your router's port and turn it into a bona fide media server. So everyone in the house, everyone in your network can save photos, music, or videos on that drive. And then all that content is accessible on any device or any TV that's connected to the network. Now, if you're going to be sharing a ton of stuff, plug an external drive into your router's USB port. Just make sure that you back it all up to the cloud, because, your luck may be like mine, and then suddenly it's just gone. And finally, number 3, let's say you have an old printer that needs to be physically connected to a computer in order for it to have it work. Just plug that old printer into your router's USB port, and now you have a printer on the network that every single person can use. See, these are some great tips that you get in our podcast, by the way. That's our daily tech update. Just search for Komando with a K. Hey, thanks for listening to Kim Komando today. So reach over and give me a nice 5-star review. Yes, thank you. And thanks for listening.